Hello and welcome back to One Track Mind with me, Raptor.
And me, Michael.
And today we're discussing a peculiar episode of Strange New Worlds. That being the musical episode, which was called...
SUPSPACE Rhapsody.
SUPSPACE Rhapsody, thank you. Because, well, at the time this episode came out, I was a little bit surprised at the sort of backlash the episode got. And today, I thought me and Michael could sort of discuss our thoughts on the episode, but also perhaps why the episode got the backlash that it did. So, Michael, let's start with our thoughts on the episode itself.
Just one moment. I'm going to play in the background for myself the songs from the musical because I love them.
I suppose that gives away your opinion, doesn't it?
A little bit. The intermix chamber and containment field are stable. I love the music in this. It's really good. So yeah, my thoughts on the episode were I love it. I think it was a really fun idea to explore a genre that has never been touched on before in Star Trek, especially given the fact that Strange New Worlds, my main complaint with Strange New Worlds has been, even though I do like it, at times it's a little too samey to other Star Trek that has come before. It's repeated like certain storylines just with new characters and a new setting and everything, and in general follows the same mold as previous legacy shows in particular. But this one again was like, let's do something totally new that we have never done in Star Trek. Let's do a musical episode. And I think the way it is done is quite good. Like, it's explained in a fairly pseudoscience kind of way. Like,
it's an anomaly of the week episode, which is traditional Star Trek. And
yeah,
Star Trek have had plenty of these anomaly of the week episodes that then leads to strange things then happening on the episode. I mean, Voyager had things like Bride of Chaotica, but also had I think it's Splintered or something, where the ship gets divided into different time zones of voyages through the Voyager
that was
series.
A great episode. I love that one.
You know, there are plenty of episodes in Star Trek's history where they've had some random anomaly and it's led to something. So I think, yeah, it's pseudoscience. It's mumbo jumbo, but it is in the spirit of Star Trek.
Oh, 100%. And on top of that, they don't just use the musical episode to be like, let's just sing a bunch of songs.
Let's just sing a bunch of songs, yeah.
It is, in fact, used to further like certain character arcs and plots within the show. Like, they make a pretty smart choice, I think, to say we break out into song when our emotions are so heightened that words simply do not suffice anymore, the same way it works in an actual musical. And through that, we get La'an having like a connecting moment to Kirk and working her way through her feelings for him and everything. We have Chapel breaking up with Spock and him dealing with his feelings about that situation. We get a good scene about Una talking about how she wishes she wasn't so good at lying anymore because she's lied her whole life about being an Illyrian. We also get a pretty solid story beat with Uhura learning that she's like the voice of the Enterprise. She is the one who kind of connects everybody and forms those connections with everyone. Like, there's really good stuff in here for the characters. It's not just la la la, we're singing songs because it's the musical episode. Like, they utilize it in a way that's actually pretty good. And on top of that, the music is damn good. Like, I actually really liked it.
Before the episode came out, one of the things I was sort of dreading was like, oh, they're going to make a bunch of tacky, half-assed songs for this episode. But actually, some of these songs are actually pretty decent. Like, there's some decent bops going on here. And it can't be easy to try to make words like intermix chamber and inertial dampeners work in a song, but they did manage it.
Yep.
I mean, some of the crew are obviously better at the singing than others, but they generally all can sing as well, which also helps.
Yeah, it is clear there are some that are not as good. I do think Captain Pike noticeably had the least amount to sing because he's probably not very good at it. But again, they worked with that in a good way. It was like, okay, he and Captain Battelle are obviously not our top singers, so we're gonna give them like just a short and fun little song to kind of bounce off of each other, but just that. Meanwhile, they give La'an and Uhura like a lot more to do that really shows off their vocal range because they are very good singers. And again, I just think they played this all out as smartly as they could have. And it's one of those things as well that I know there are some people who really prefer when Star Trek is very serious and dramatic, more a la like Discovery, where it's super high stakes, it's life and death, it's really tense, everyone's crying, like it's just really, really dramatic. While I do enjoy that as well, I think it absolutely has its place in Star Trek. I don't want it to just be silly all the time. I do also like when Star Trek is just fun and it lets you have a good time. I don't think it should be misery all the time. It should enjoy itself a little bit.
I mean, Star Trek has always had a significant variety of storyline types throughout the episodes. You have those serious courtroom dramas, you have those character interpersonal conflict episodes, you have, the enemies of the week, the aliens of the week, the anomalies of the week, and then you do also have a smattering of fun episodes that are just there for a laugh, especially as a result of the holodeck coming in TNG. They then ran with that to do, bizarre holodeck episodes. I mean, even things like Voyager's Tinker Tenor Dr. Spy, or Deep Space Nine's episode with the board game and them getting trapped in it, or the casino heist they had to do in DS9, or even the flippin' baseball episode. DS9 did a whole episode about baseball.
In the middle of the Dominion War.
In the middle of the Dominion War.
Like right at the heat of all of that conflict. They're like, you know what? Let's just take a step back, have a fun little baseball episode.
Hearing Worf stand there and go death to the opposition as
that was great.
As banter to the team, it always makes me laugh. And how serious Odo took his job as well, being the ref. You're right. Yeah, Star Trek should be serious, and perhaps that's where Starfleet Academy went wrong, in that it made
too light of the
situations and too light of the idea.
Not all the time, though. Like, not all the time, but the situation where they're on the what's it called?
I know which one you're on about. The other ship.
Yeah, when they're in a life or death situation on like a little training mission, they do take that episode very seriously. It is not played for laughs at all. And mostly the finale and the episode before that also, for the majority of it, is not played for laughs. It is taken seriously. But most of the rest of the show, maybe with the exception of like moments during Sam's episode or the majority of Jaden's episode, the rest of it is very light and fun. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I do think there just needs to be a good blend of the two.
Yeah.
Which I think Strange New Worlds has done a reasonably good job doing. Season 3 less so.
Season 3 less so. But that is, they've blamed the writers' strike and everything else for that. We'll see how season 4
Yeah, we'll see how season 4 goes, see if that stands up.
But yeah, inherently, I think, it's a fun episode, and I think, again, that's also in the spirit of Star Trek. So this brings us to the idea of, why then did it get so much backlash from certain parts of the community? And I was thinking about this while I was lounging in bed last night. I think there's a few reasons, and I think one of those is that musicals just aren't very popular anymore. Musicals used to be all the rage, chitty chitty bang bang, Sound of Music, all the rest of them.
Fiddler on the Roof.
I remember them from growing up, The King and I, and West Side Story and all the rest. I remember them when I was growing up as a kid. But when was the last time you heard of one in a cinema that was well liked? Maybe that Mamma Mia movie from some years ago, but I can't think of one.
No, there's more since then, like Into the Woods. I think is the most recent musical that I can think of that did very well and was received at least pretty well. It did. I enjoyed it. I'm sure there's more that we're not thinking of, but in terms of
it
like
does seem to be
wide acclaim, I can't really think of it.
It definitely feels like it's a genre that isn't as popular or made as often as it used to be, and I think that does play a factor.
Could be.
When it comes to things like musical theatre and such, it's not generally seen as a modern thing to go and do. Yeah, I definitely think there's a question of modern tastes, and perhaps musicals are not necessarily within them. The other thing I think that might have gone as a factor against it is the Spock Chapel stuff. I think this is one of the sort of tag-alongs of Strange New Worlds that a lot of people just are kind of sick of, is this Spock Chapel romance storyline that really wasn't necessarily needed in the first place, but is now just kind of dragged on, and it's still dragging on in season 3, and it's kind of at this point of like, can we just get on with it? Can we just, it's done, dusted, can we move on from this? It's not necessary anymore.
I liked having it there in the first place, just as a kind of explanation, a little backstory to why Chapel is so like smitten with Spock in the original series. I think it makes sense to have the storyline, but I do think it is dragging quite a bit at this point, where almost to the point of Chapel not really having any like autonomy. She is becoming almost less and less of a character as the show goes on, because all of her storylines always revolve around Spock.
Oh, romance.
And it's getting frustrating. So I could see that being a factor in this as well. I personally think the major issue with this is that human beings by nature are very resistant to change, and considering modern Star Trek has made a lot of changes, like quite a lot of changes to what has been established in Star Trek before, I think this was perhaps just one step too far for a lot of people, where they're just like, I don't want a musical episode. You've already changed the Gorn. You've already changed modes of transportation. You've changed the aesthetics. You've changed so many different things. And now you're telling me that there's a whole musical reality episode. It probably was just a step too far for some people.
And I think Strange New Worlds is, again, it's beginning to fall into the trap of gimmick episodes too. I mean, season 3 had quite a few gimmick episodes.
Yeah, I do agree.
They weren't particularly fantastic. And of course, we have the upcoming Muppet episode. And honestly, that might be where we even draw the line, because
I don't see how you
going
make that
to
work.
justify that working? Like, how are you going to explain that working in any sense without yet another anomaly of the week?
I mean, that's probably what is going to be the situation. It probably will be an anomaly of the week episode, which is why they've all become Muppets or something. Like, I don't know. But there is a limit to like how far you can push the boundaries of what your show is. And again, for me, musical episode does not push that boundary too far. I'm like, I thought it was great fun. I really enjoyed it. It had its purpose, and it was a good time. A Muppet episode, I don't know, man. That's a lot. But
it might be one step too far.
But again, I would like to go back to your comment about the gimmick episodes, because again, I feel very strongly that all Star Trek has had gimmick episodes, like 100% they have. But it does seem like, particularly in Strange New Worlds, they're leaning into that a little too much. Because, like, looking at season 3 right now, we have Wedding Bell Blues, which is your Q alternate reality gimmick episode. You have Shuttle to Kenfori, which is your zombie gimmick episode.
Zombie episode, yeah.
A Space Adventure Hour, which is your holodeck gimmick episode, where it's like a murder mystery thing.
And technically kind of a, old Star Trek crossover episode as well, in theory.
Yeah. Then you have What is Starfleet, which is like your documentary gimmick episode, which could have been so damn good, and it just pissed me off how they did that episode.
Missed the mark, yeah.
And then you have the 4.5 Vulcans episode, which also pissed me off a lot, and was the, what if all of our main characters were Vulcans, and were completely different, and all that. And the rest of the episodes were mostly like in line with, I guess, your typical Star Trek. But again, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So half of the entire season is gimmick episodes. I'm like, I think it's too much. That's really pushing it. Whereas you look at season 2, where you have Subspace Rhapsody, which is your musical episode, gimmick episode. I think you could qualify those old scientists as a gimmick episode.
It's a crossover, which is a classic gimmick episode. So.
Yeah, it's a crossover. It's partially animated. It's
very fun.
Time travel related. So I think you could qualify that as a gimmick episode, but I'm leaning towards not, honestly. It almost feels more in line with what you would expect out of Star Trek. But beyond that, you also have Charades, which is What If Spock Was Human episode, which I also have a fair amount of issues with that episode. Tomorrow and Tomorrow is potentially a gimmick episode, but Star Trek is almost like synonymous with time travel episodes at this point, so I wouldn't personally qualify that as a gimmick episode. But still, that would be pretty much it for the gimmick episodes in season 2, which is noticeably less than season 3. Season 3 had a lot of gimmick episodes, and I do think that it drags a bit. It starts to become old pretty fast. Yeah. And I think when Subspace Rhapsody hit, I think that was the beginnings of people being like, okay, maybe we're doing too many gimmick episodes here. And then season 3 just went like full hog on that. But I do think Subspace Rhapsody might have been the start of people really getting tired of the gimmick stuff.
There was also a missed opportunity in Subspace Rhapsody not to show us some proper Klingon opera. Kind of was a little bit disappointed.
I agree. The K-pop version of the Klingons, while being kind of funny,
perhaps.
It was borderline cringy. I was like, I think I would have preferred seeing them like go full opera. That would have been pretty cool. But I adore, even though it is so cheesy and stupid, I love in the final song that the ships are like dancing around each other. I'm like, that is so stupid, but I love it. It's so funny.
I also think Subspace Rhapsody is quite important because it demonstrates that you could do a stage show of Star Trek and it would be quite good.
Yeah, actually.
There's been plenty of films that have gone on to have quite successful theatre versions. The Shrek show was massive over here in London, and they've put on like Klingon Shakespeare before. I think Subspace Rhapsody demonstrates that you could make quite a good theatre show from Star Trek, and you could do it. I think that's quite important because
again, the more iterations of it that can survive,
develop
more people it's going to reach.
We've had Star Trek films and TV and Star Trek video games. Why not try to do Star Trek theatre as well? Like, the more different variety you can have, the better that is, surely, for getting it out to more people.
One criticism I would have on the episode, just in terms of, I guess, production of it, is while I think the music in it is very good, and I enjoy it a lot, I do feel like they could have taken it a step further. There's very few musicals out there where people pretty much just sing and like walk around. Almost every musical comes included with like highly choreographed like dance numbers as well. And even though there's some of that in this episode, I think they definitely could have done more. There are some musical moments that are very muted because the character is basically just standing in a room singing what they're talking about rather than being a little more energetic with it.
This is also going to sound really bad, and it probably denotes me as being quite uncultured. Some of the dance choreography seemed a bit cringe as well.
I don't think you're wrong on that. Again, there's not a lot of it in the episode, but there are some moments where I was like, no. That's, again, an attempt was made, but it did not land.
Yeah, and maybe if we were also being true, really picky, critical about it. In terms of the genre, I don't know the genres of music. Mm-hmm. It was all pretty similar stuff. Yeah, there wasn't like a rap song, there wasn't like a jazz song, it was all pretty much the same sort of relatively poppy kind of stuff.
I'm not 100% in agreement. There's absolutely a through line through all the songs because they're made by, I think it's 2 people who they got to come in and like make the music for it. But I do think there is a wide enough range for me. Like, again, you have the first and last song, which are like ensemble pieces where pretty much the whole crew is singing. And then you have Chapel's song, which to me was very, I don't even know how to describe it, more like jazz pop. It was very upbeat and she has like a really raspy voice. Whereas you have Spock's song right afterwards, which I'm listening to right now. I love it. And it's more of like an emotional ballad than some of the other ones. But there is definitely a through line. Like, it's not dramatically different types of music throughout the episode, which on one hand is a shame because it would have been nice to see like the different crewmen have like their own unique styles of music to sing. But also at the same time, that's just kind of how musicals are. Like, you don't want it to be too sporadic because then there's like nothing to latch onto or become accustomed to at that point. So it's a bit of a give and take on that one.
It was just something that occurred to me thinking about our conversation we were having the other day about where the Federation's actual culture is.
Yeah.
You want to see another musical episode done, or do you think they should have? Do you think this is the one that they've done? They should never do it again.
I don't want to say never do it again, but I would not do it again for a long time. Like, I'm talking 10, 15 years from now, maybe do it again on like a different Star Trek show. But I would take a lot of issue if Strange New Worlds did another musical episode. I'd be like, okay, calm down. Like, now it's getting a little ridiculous. Like, having your anomaly of the week make you all break out into song and dance is one thing, but having it become a near regular thing for a crew to experience, I think is pushing it. So I do think, again, if they wanted to do it again, I would give it a long time to kind of sit and let people almost forget about it before bringing it back again. But I would definitely not do it again on this show or really any of the modern Trek that we have. Like, again, if season 2 of Starfleet Academy has a musical episode, I'll be like, okay, like, what are we doing here? Like, stop.
I could really see them doing that as well.
I mean, given the actors that they've chosen, some of them do have singing backgrounds, so I wouldn't be like utterly shocked by it. But I really don't think that would be a good idea. Again, it's like the issue of season 3 having too many gimmick episodes. If you just rely on the gimmick over and over and over again, it gets really old really fast. So if you're gonna do something like this, let it be a one-off where it's a unique and special thing and everything else feels different from it. I think that's the way to approach the situation. But go ahead and let us know what you all thought of Subspace Rhapsody. Was it for you just a cringy, unwelcome addition to Star Trek, or was it a genuinely good surprise for you that you actually enjoyed? Were you like me, who's not the biggest fan of musicals, but ended up genuinely enjoying the episode? Or if you lie somewhere in between, where it's just a whatever episode to you that you could take it or leave it. It's really not that important to you. Let us know your thoughts down below. As always, be respectful to one another. And that is about it from us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out quite a bit. And that is going to be goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.